They're very strong smelling, but they're a natural product.
Right.
And again, wild salmon,
Right.
full of omega-3, really rich in flavour and taste. And the anchovies, something I've been using a lot lately.
Yeah.
All of these things really enhance a mix, give it incredible smell, incredible pulling power, but without being overpowering.
Right, and they all go in your food processor, they all go in at that point, so they're being mixed into the powders and everything, so they're taken down really fine and spread right the way throughout the mix.
That's right, yeah.
Right, okay, and liquid-wise, you've got a couple of other things there, what are they?
Yeah, I've got some fresh prawn.
That so they can see.
Yeah, some fresh prawns, some shellfish. Basically, it's a very
yeah. That is proper prawny, that, isn't
it? Beautiful. Another beautiful. Again, natural. You can't overdo it, you know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm big on natural products. That's it, really, in a nutshell. Some green lip mussel powder here, which I also use. Everybody knows it's a great ingredient.
And how much of that goes in there?
Well, I get it off the bait company, so I don't have to pay for it, but which is good because you know this stuff can be upwards of like £100 a kilo.
Right, okay.
You know, it's very expensive, but you don't need a lot. It's very, very salty. I'm using quite salty ingredients anyway.
Right.
I use a couple of tablespoons.
Right, okay. So how big a stick? Let's move back onto the one you've got done that's been done a couple of days. How big a stick would you tie with that? Let's have a look at that stuff there. How big a stick would you tie with that then?
It all depends on the bottom I'm fishing over.
Right.
And it all again, it's all dependent on the situation.
Right.
Have you got a funnel web there? I might.
Yeah, go on.
But I mean, usually.
What do you want, a boilie or a
boilie? Yeah, yep. Boilie's my animal of choice.
I remember when you first showed us this, and you had the bit of wood. Do you remember the bit of wooden dowel that was pushing it out the tube? We were all amazed, weren't we? We were at the NEC show at Birmingham, and couldn't believe it how much oil was coming off of it.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, the early mixes were incredibly oily. Well, they still are. I still use a lot of oil.
Yeah.
I don't think you can use too much as long as you get your mix right and leave it to stand properly. There's no reason why you cut. You know, the sky's the limit really.
Right. So how long does that take to go off?
It's got anchovy in it. It's got shrimp paste. This will be all right for a couple of weeks. As long as it's not in direct sunlight, obviously.
Right, okay.
But when I get home from fishing, I'll put that in a carrier bag, sort of seal it up tight and just put it on the shelf in the shed or leave it in the tackle box. But yeah, you'll be amazed. If I'm using the fresh salmon or sardines or the like, they will tend to go off quicker.
Right.
But a lot of these ingredients, like the anchovies, they're salted anyway. They don't.
Which is a natural preservative.
Yeah, they just won't go off.
Right.
So yeah, there's no problem with that. This mix will keep for ages.
Right, you can see that soaking in there, and that's your hook bait.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
Now, what is that, and why is it that shape and size?
Well, really, it's just a case of obviously I watch the fish a lot in the water, and when you actually see them come into a swim and pick up a stick, often they'll drop straight onto it, and you see the gills flare and all loads of particles and debris going through the gills where they really want it.
Yeah.
And you've got to be very careful with your hook bait. Quite often I've seen them right themselves up and swim off. And that's happened a lot of time when I've been using, back in the day when I used to use bigger baits.
What, so they've not got the hook bait in their mouth?
Well, they've had the hook bait in their mouth, and the hook bait's just been spat out again because they're sifting the fine ingredients.
Right.
That's
so the smaller the hook bait, the better, effectively.
Yeah.
If you're fishing with that sort of fine mix like that.
Yeah, I find I'm happier with a smaller hook bait, definitely.
Right. Okay. So show everybody that from there. So that's pulled right up inside it.
Yeah.
So there's no way that anything can tangle on the cast.
No.
And that's about the size you'd use.
Yeah, yeah.
And how often would you recast that?
Again, it's dependent on the situation. If I'm fishing for bigger fish on hard, I'm very aware that constant recasting can cost you fish rather than gain you them.
Yeah.
I think people need to be aware of that.
So on pressured waters, you don't recast so much.
I don't need to. That is giving off attraction. I know that is giving off lots of attraction for several hours.
Right.
And then even after that, when all the attraction dies away, a fish only has to swim over the area.
Right.
Or, within a couple of foot of the bottom, and it'll kick up again.
Yeah.
Flat off on the surface. You'll see often you'll be sat there, and all of a sudden you'll see a flat come up, and you'll think, oh, you expect to bite, well, that's just one that's just swum over it.
Yeah,
not,
right.
not that's feeding on it.
Dispersed all the oil.
Yeah. And then half hour later, one comes in on the fresh scent again and drops down, and you get a bite.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if I was fishing a day ticket, well, I'd quite happily recast them, because these are power packed, full of attraction. You know, 5 or 6 casts over the course of a day, all you're doing is building your swim up.
Right.
You know, your ground bait in your plot. You haven't got to be casting on the same spot, but by fishing in a general area, you're creating the whole area is full of smell. You know, there's attraction.
Yeah.
You just, the longer you fish those spots, the better it gets.
Right.
But,
so that is wildly different. Show me your mix there. That is wildly different from what I've got there. I mean, obviously, I've caught loads of fish on sticks before. That's anchovies, because you were raving about them. I've smashed up in the crusher, and then I've just added just some small 2mm and 4mm bloodworm pellets that we used in the underwater filming that were so good, and a bit of the Blitz ground bait, which is very, very oily. Now mine, it does squeeze together, but there's a lot bigger bits in it than yours has got there, and it's nowhere near as oily. So it's good to see the contrast between the two, and definitely tonight I'm going to have some of that on and some of that, and we'll fish it against each other.
Yeah, by all means.
And see how it goes. And then that one I've got done there, that's basically my boilie stick mix, if you like. Ground up boilies in a little tiny crusher, a little bit of the nut sludge, because this is the cell mix, which is a little bit nutty, a little bit coconutty sort of smell, a little bit of the cell liquid to go in it, just a dip, and it will squeeze together, but that breaks up quite quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, now you've got the crusher, I think people can, even if you haven't got stick mix with you, you can make one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All you need is a few boilies, even a little bit of lake water, just a touch, just to get the consistency. You've got a stick mix.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't bought any with you. So, that's pucker, mate. Yeah.
Excellent.
I like the idea of that.
Excellent. Well, that is sticks in depth. If you haven't used them, definitely get on them. They will get you loads of bites. Fish them over bait, fish them as singles. We're certainly going to plug away with them and hopefully get some more bites.